So hello everyone. So today I'll be talking about the types of malware that exist on the internet. And malware is just, mal means bad. Ware is, I guess, like software. So basically it's bad software. So there are many different types of malicious software, like viruses. Um, There's worms, there's adware, spyware, Trojans, and there's also fileless malware as well. So I'll be explaining each one of these, what they do to your computer, and the symptoms, and how you can basically get it. So the first is viruses. This is not very common these days because antivirus software can detect these quite easily, and most of the viruses are basically they spread from computer to computer, and it basically has the ability to replicate itself like how a real virus replicates itself. A real virus has RNA, and it injects it into a cell, and then that RNA reproduces itself and produces other viruses, kind of like that. So except it's doing this with computer code, not on a living cell, right? But the idea is the same, basically. So basically a computer virus alters the way a computer operates or works, and it could corrupt and destroy data as well. And basically the way it works is it latches on to a program, like most likely an exe file, .exe file, and most of the time the way that it gets into your computer, the vectors for it is pirated software. This was very common in the 1980s and 1990s when people used to get pirated software from, first it was bulletin boards back in the 80s, and then the internet starting from the 90s. People would get pirated software and cracks for software, So basically the software is legitimate, but you need the crack in order to get the software to work, because the software has some kind of copyright in it. And those cracks would usually have, or crack patches would have viruses in them. So that's how you would get the virus. Or if you downloaded a pirated any kind of pirated software, hackers would put viruses in them, especially in the exe file. So that's what a virus is, but this is not very common these days. And we also have worms. That's another type of malware. And this is a type of malware that spreads copies of itself from host to host, kind of like a virus. It is very much like a virus, except it does not need to attach itself to a program like a virus does. So worms can modify and delete files, and it could replicate itself to deplete system resources. Also, it can get additional machines infected with malicious software, and it can also use the software. Basically, the malicious software or worm can go into your computer. It could install backdoors, and by that it could steal information from your computer. It could put in something like a keylogger, which basically everything you type in, it could log that. So if you typed in your password, it could steal your password. And if you put your credit card number in, it could steal that too, and then the backdoor will send it back to the hacker or whatever, or the criminal. And it could also other types of backdoor software could enable the hacker to get a control of your computer. You know, they could remotely go into your computer, see everything that's on it with something like remote desktop access, and they could steal whatever they want from your computer. They could steal files and really mess up your computer if they wanted to. So that's what a worm is. So kind of like how worms, people get parasitic worms in their body. It's kind of like that, basically. A parasitic worm would go into your body, and it would deplete nutrients from your body, and it could also cause harm. And the worm could also replicate itself, and basically this would make a person very tired, you know, and because it's a parasite. So worm is basically a parasite, and the way you get it is through emails, links from emails. So people would put a link. They would send an email to you and put a link in there, and if you click on it, then you'll get the worm. And you can also go to bad websites. People who go to porn sites and stuff like that could get worms in their computer, and it will make you even more vulnerable if you didn't update your operating system. So this is very important that you get your computer updated. But for Windows 10, that's not really an issue, because Windows 10 does this automatically whether you like it or not, and that's a good thing. You know, you should always keep your operating system up to date, so all the vulnerabilities, or most of the vulnerabilities, could be patched up, so you don't get these problems. So the next one after that is adware. So they're basically advertising software, and they're usually bundled in with free software you install on your computer. And most likely they don't really damage your operating system like worms or viruses do, but these programs latch onto your internet browser, and they usually collect data and show adverts on your computer. And it could be quite annoying. It could slow down your internet connection because it's using up the bandwidth, and it could use up system resources as well, and also your RAM. So basically the symptoms of it would be a slower internet connection, because all this traffic for advertisements is going through your internet, right? Your internet modem to your network and stuff like that. So and your computer would be a little bit slower. You would kind of like notice that as well. And the vectors for adware is usually when people put free software on the internet. These are bundled in with adware, and it's not illegal for them to put it in there, because they usually put a disclaimer that, do you agree to this? And they put that in there, and if you click yes, then you're agreeing to that, and you're installing this adware onto your computer. And it usually latches onto your internet browser and stuff like that. And shareware as well, but not all freeware and shareware has it. But I'm just saying there are companies that put that in there so they could get a little bit more revenue, right? But it's not illegal or anything. And if you go to some bad websites, they could install that on your internet browser as well. And the way you can clear this is a lot of times you could just go to programs. Let me show you. You go to control panel, programs and features, and you could just go in there and just uninstall the program. Other times you can't just do that. It doesn't just go away in that manner. you would have to go into the browser and change some of the settings in there, and uh, even and other times you need to go into the computer's registries and delete that, and it's very hard to find. It's not easy to find to remedy it, but sometimes it's easy, other times it's hard. It's very hard to get rid of. And there's a lot of resources on the internet that show you how to get rid of specific types of adware on your computer. And if it's really bad and you can't get rid of it at all, then other times adware goes into startups, it goes into your startup programs, and you know how these programs come up. It would be here, and you need to get rid of it from here as well. So it really depends. Some of it could be malicious, other it's just putting advertisements in your computer, and that's not gonna like change. It's not as malicious as worms or vectors, but it's still something you don't want on your computer. So that's basically it for adware. So we also have spyware, and spyware is basically kind of like adware in a way, except it's a lot more malicious. Spyware is used to basically get your computer to spy on you, basically. Like if you have like a camera on your laptop, then the hacker on the other side could see you, see how you look like from using the spyware. It's and it also, they put keyloggers in there as well to steal information, like worms. It's similar that way. And they can also take control of your computer like worms. So in a way, it's like that. So the common vector is from bad software and from emails as well. I guess email. So if there's a link on there from an email that you don't know, don't click on it. Sometimes these criminals put like Wells Fargo Bank, right? You may bank with these people, so you may not know. So if you click on it, then you get it. Or they could use a hijacked computer from somebody especially for emails. And you may know the person, right? But the link that's on it could be malicious. It could install it could install malicious software on there, like worms or spyware or virus or whatever, basically. And that's so you have to be very aware of it, And these are very hard to get rid of, but these are all file-based, so sometimes malware software could detect these because it's software-based. For this, malware software doesn't really detect adwares. You wouldn't really you couldn't detect this at all, so that's a problem. There's limitations to what malware software can do. And what they cannot do, anti-malware software. So of course spyware could also latch itself onto bad software. So this is why people who get pirated software, they think they're getting something that's free, but it has a lot of bad software in there, which could steal your information and stuff like that. Like people get stuff like they get cracks for like operating systems like Windows 7, 8, or 10, and then they believe they're getting a free operating system they don't have to pay for, but it installs a lot of bad stuff on there, which could steal your personal information and stuff like that. So it's definitely not worth it. You should just get legitimate software and know that it's safe, basically. So we also have Trojans as well. So basically, a Trojan is basically a malicious program that is made to look like legitimate software, and it takes control of your computer, just like a Trojan, just like the Trojan horse did. So basically, the story goes that the way that the city of Troy was taken by the Greeks was that the Greeks pretended to leave, Trojan territories by staging some kind of mock event of showing all their ships leaving Troy, but they actually weren't. They were, and they presented this Trojan horse, and then the Trojans took it into their city, and at nighttime, the Greek soldiers that were inside that Trojan horse came out of it at nighttime and opened the gates of Troy, and that's how the Greeks took the city, through trickery, through using this Trojan horse. So, and what a Trojan horse does is it installs like backdoors into your computer, just like how the Trojan horse the Greeks used opened the gates of Troy, kind of like that. It installs backdoors. So this is a very dangerous type of malware, and it's kind of like a worm in a way that worms could also do the same thing. And it's so they could do whatever they want after they install a Trojan. They could take control of your operating system, do all kinds of stuff. They could install other malicious software if they wanted to, and they could basically take control of your computer and see what's in it, see what's on your computer screen and everything. They could have a link to like steal stuff from your computer files. They could damage your operating system, go in there and change anything they want, or delete certain files in your operating system so your computer doesn't work like it should, and that's how a Trojan software basically works. So and this is usually from bad software. So pirated software and stuff like that, like I said, cracks to like software, bad software, and that's the common vectors for Trojans. So we also have fileless. This is a new thing, fileless. So all these things that I mentioned here are file-based, right? So they leave a trail in your computer. So the trail is basically what the antivirus uses. Antivirus software, anti-malware software uses to like track these malicious programs like this and this and this. They track them down, and then they quarantine them, or they get rid of the files or whatever. So these software-based ones or file-based ones leave trails that the anti-malware software could find, but for this one it doesn't, because fileless goes right into your memory, right? The memory is the RAM is random access memory. This is volatile memory. So what it means is so when you turn off your computer or reset your computer, everything that is in your computer's memory gets erased, right? When you power it down or whatever, reset. So that's a way to get rid of fileless. And what fileless does is it goes into a program like PowerScripts, PowerShell. Okay, this is PowerShell, and it could go in here and it could do all kinds of damage to your computer. So it uses PowerShell to send like commands to like install stuff onto your computer, and you could do pretty much anything with this. You could you could send emails to people with this. Like if you want to do mass emailing and stuff like that, you could do that with this feature in Windows. This is kind of like command prompt, except it's a lot more powerful. So it attaches itself to a program like PowerShell, and then it could just basically do whatever it wants. It's a very new type of thing. You know, this is pretty new. So if there's any kind of vulnerabilities within the operating system itself, you could use this to basically steal information from your computer and do everything that these malware programs could do. You know, spy on you, and basically everything else. So this is a new thing. So the way you get this is from bad websites, like porn websites. There's also some websites that is kind of like, let's say you had a website like yahoo.com, right? YAHOOL.com. They may have a website called Yahoo. They may have a website like this, you know. So this is a correct website. This is fake website, or they may have, this is a legitimate website. This is a fake website like this. You know, you could sometimes mistype, and then you could type this, and this is malicious. This is a real website. So they may have like that. They may have it registered in something like that. So then if you go to that website and if you click on any links there, you could get spyware on your computer. You could get worms or anything else, which is, you could even get fileless malware as well. And you could also get it through infected programs as well. But then the thing is, even if this infected program is running, it's not going to install a file in your computer. So this is going to be a lot more difficult for any malware software to detect, because the way malware software works is that if bad software tries to install something into, let's say, your operating system or something, where your operating system files are, then it would automatically block it, right? Because it has a file in it. So this doesn't work like that. This will go into power scripts, and then it would execute commands which would add stuff in your computer that you don't want, right? So this is a lot more dangerous. It can't be detected with malware. So you got to be careful when you go on the internet. So you should always keep your operating system up to date. You should be aware of the websites that you go to, and you should be very vigilant when you get emails with links. And you should not try to get pirated software from the internet, which is another vector for these malware software, and getting free software and stuff like that. It's not always free, you know. Like I said, this part is not illegal because you're agreeing to it, and you're getting this put into your computer because you agreed to it. But these things are not consensual. Virus, worm, spyware, Trojan, fileless, these are not consensual. So, and they could do all types of damage to your computer, and you don't want your information to get stolen. And emails are a very common vector for people to get any kind of malicious software installed on your computer. So if you get an email from somebody you don't know, or somebody that you know sends a link, if they send a link, then you should always call that person if you know them and ask them, did you send me a file? Did you send me a link with this email? If they say no, then you know that a criminal or a hacker tried to do this. So you really got to be aware when you go on the internet and get emails and stuff like this. So and a lot of times you should always make a backup of your computer in case you get any of these things. So sometimes these malware programs are almost impossible to get rid of. You know, once they go in there, there's like rootkit. Like I said with the Trojan thing, not only can it install like malware, which could install backdoors, but the backdoors could also include stuff like rootkit software, which goes directly into your operating system, and it changes everything in your operating system. So this is very hard to get rid of. You know, it's almost impossible. So and other times you may not even know that you have a malware in your computer. So basically the best way to fix all of these problems is by having your computer backed up, you know, by creating an image of your hard drive with your operating system on it, and basically having it as backup. So like I said, if anything bad happens, your data is corrupted or whatever, or bad software is put into your computer's operating system, you could simply turn the computer off, and then you could install recover your settings for your computer, basically. Or there's also something called restore point. You could create a restore point, and let's say I created a restore point in last year or something, maybe around December, right? And my computer was infected with some malicious stuff like today. I could go to restore point. I probably will not be using this operating system right here as it stands to use restore point. I may just go in there in safe mode or something, and then use restore point to restore my computer to how it was at December 2020. So I could do that. And so there are remedies for this, but the best one, like I said, was basically creating a hard drive image and restoring it. That is the best way to do it. And I also forgot one thing: ransomware. You have ransomware as well. So what ransomware is basically it installs through bad software and emails and bad websites as well, kind of like all of these. Except ransomware locks your computer up, basically. So they put some kind of encryption on your computer so you can't access the files on your computer, you know? And it's kind of like locked you out of your operating system. So the criminal or the hacker will ask for money. Like they may say, here's my address for my Bitcoin, send me like 1 Bitcoin or something, and I will unlock your computer or something. Or send money, like like send gift cards to this place or this place, and then when I get it, I will unlock your computer. But this doesn't really get rid of the problem, because the hacker still has their malicious software installed on your computer. It's not really gone, so they could come back and say they could keep asking for more money in the future. So it's not a solution for it to just pay off this criminal. And if you had a hard drive image, it wouldn't really matter if they took control of the existing operating system or this operating system, right? Because I could just restore the image from 60 days ago, and my computer would be restored to how it was before I got this bad software or this ransomware or whatever. So that's a common thing you should do. So anyways, thanks for watching. By Ace 1000KS 1975 signing out.